I dated Mary for a complete year, but she always refused to give me a chance to sleep with her, even though she was busy sleeping with other men. According to her, that she hated premarital sexual affairs and would always tell me to be calm and wait for the right time to come, then we would have everything lawfully. I spent money on her, as I never allowed myself to fail in meeting her needs whenever she made a demand. Her father's name is Henry, and her mother is Mrs. Anastasia Henry, but initially, people called her Mrs. Henry. Mrs. Henry had really wanted me to marry her daughter in the future, and unlike her daughter, Mary, sex before marriage was totally against her will. Henry family were devoted Catholics. Nevertheless, one thing was uncertain about this family. Mrs. Henry knew that her daughter was following and sleeping with some men out there, but she never questioned her, or perhaps she didn't because I was staying with them, and I didn't actually know the truth. A few months later, Mary got admission to study international studies at one of the prestigious universities. However, her parents could not afford the money she needed for school, so the admission seemed impossible. She came to me for help, and as a gentleman who had genuine love for his babe, I gave her a listening ear to stabilize her ordeal when she came to me crying. "Babe, talk to me and stop crying. You're making me feel bad. Is it by crying that whatever you're going through will be settled?" I queried. "Babe, how long am I going to wait before I will start my school when my parents are not yet to support me?" she asked. "I don't understand. What are you saying? Have you gotten any admission? Talk to me, babe, your silence is killing me," I replied. She took a deep breath and said, "Babe, I know it's very wrong for me to ask you for help now after you have been doing things for me and my family." She acknowledged while on her knees. "No. Babe, are you joking or something? I don't like this. Please stand up. Stop disgracing me. I mean, what is my obligation then if I couldn't take care of you and your family? You're my only joy on this earth. I don't see anything more important to me than taking care of you. Yes, you're my primary priority." I consoled her. "Now, in a single word, tell me what troubles you," I said, raising her from where she knelt. Reluctantly, she said while still sobbing, "Do you remember the university I told you I applied to?" "Of course, I do. What about it?" I asked keenly. "They have given me admission, but there's nothing I can do about it since my parents won't afford the things listed in the prospectus," she lamented. "Is that why you're crying?" I asked, smiling. She nodded in agreement. "How much would that worth, in all?" I asked. 100,000, she replied. "It's okay, don't cry anymore. I'll give you the money," I said. "Babe," she shouted. "Are you kidding me? Wait, hold on. Are you being serious right now?" she asked, more happily. "Yeah, babe. I respect the dignity of my words. You heard me right. I mean, right now, I will go to the market with the last 2 bags of soybeans in my room, so if I can realize 70,000, then I would add it up to the 30,000 I have already saved and give it to you first thing tomorrow morning," I promised. "Oh yes. That's my babe," she shouted once more, giving me a passionate hug that nearly pulled me down to the ground. Moreover, she held my head with her hands and brought her mouth closer to mine and gave me a kiss on my lip. "I love you, babe," she said. "I love you more," I replied. She then held my head back, and this time, we both engaged in passionate kissing. I got engrossed, and my lollipop began to enlarge in size, but then it dawned on me that even if I made a request, Mary would disagree to give it to me, so I asked her to go and come back the following for the money, having a conception in my mind that maybe at the sight of her seeing the money, she would have had no alternative than to allow me to have my way through her. It was Sunday evening, around 5 p.m., when I remembered Mary coming to my house the following day, just as I had asked her to. Immediately, as she entered my room, I noticed an unusual frown on her face, and I was eager to know why. Babe, what's wrong? You're not looking alright. Is there any problem? I asked her as I stood up from the chair and walked close to her while touching her forehead in observation. But she shunned my question and greeted me instead. Good morning, she greeted, still frowning. Oh, sorry, I didn't greet you. Sweetheart, good morning, I admitted my mistake. Your face isn't that clear at all. Who offended you today? I queried. I'm fine, just not feeling too strong, she said, scowling. I took a deep breath and went into deep thoughts. One part of my mind was telling me that she was lying, but another part plainly thought maybe she was right. The whole situation was incomprehensible. I mean, I didn't actually understand her sudden illness because she had never been sick the previous day we met. I inhaled. She shouldn't play with me again, especially now that she's going to stay away for a long time. I must have to taste from her honey pot, but wait, what word can best describe this kind of attitude that Mary is putting towards me? Wickedness, selfishness, or is she calling me a fool? I thought inside me while staring at her suspiciously. While still in the journey of solitude and deep contemplation, she moved silently to the bedside and sat on it. I guess you're not annoyed that I came to your house being sick. Right? She asked. Because I don't understand why, after hearing my statement about being sick, your mood has suddenly changed. She added. While she spoke, I was still quiet. Instantaneously, the picture of how she had acted and given me excuses whenever she had observed that I had feelings for her struck me once more. Babe, I know how exactly you feel, but you need to bear with me. I am not doing all this intentionally. Like seriously, I'm very sick. Maybe it's because of my monthly flows that made me feel this way. Oh my God. I didn't see all this coming, and now it looks as if I'm not working diligently to grow this courtship. Supposing if not because of the money we discussed yesterday, I would not have dreamed of coming to your house in this present state of mind. She explained and stood from the bed, coming to the chair where I sat meditating. Babe, why are you mute? I said I'm sorry. She said again, rubbing her hand on my back, and by then, my head was pointing beneath. I raised my head up and looked at her family, then called her, Mary, are you sure our relationship is authentic? Of course, yes. But why do you ask such a question? You mean you're not totally convinced about my poor health condition? She asked calmly, with her eyes full of sincerity. That's not my point. I didn't say nothing happened to you. I only asked a simple question, and your answer should be no or yes. Why are you prolonging the issue? Do I say that nothing actually happened to you? I asked. It's okay, I'm here for you. If you don't actually believe me, I submit myself to you already. Besides, you're the man I have in my entire life, so do what you think is worth doing, for my entire self belongs to you. But remember, I'm still a virgin, and I would like to break my virginity with no other person but with you and legitimately on our wedding night. What if we break it up now, and I get to the university, then begin to live by what you have started by giving your food to other whenever the feeling comes, and you are no longer there to satisfy me? People say love is blind, and yes, it's indeed blind. Because even if I tell you how much I love you, you won't believe because you're not seeing. Christopher, I love you passionately and with all my heart. A day without you is like a stomach without food. Forget the fact that I don't actually come to your house as often because I look at it that it's not essential now. She said and observed a bit calmer. The Bible says the best way to avoid sin is to avoid sinful occasions. Likewise, the Quran, even though I'm not a Muslim, but I learnt it from my friends. And the same Bible and Quran avert about sex before marriage, they are both strictly against it. A situation whereby a lady and a man can have intercourse among themselves is only when they are both married, not only married but legitimately. You should have been happy because I'm doing all this because of the love I have for you. I don't want to look so cheap in your sight when we will both emerge as husband and wife in the future. Mary explained, and at this juncture, I perceived sincerity in her words and I became emotionally relieved. I exhaled and finally raised my head that was deeply pointing below out of depression. Babe, she called. Yes, I answered and smiled gently because I was moved by her kind words. So, all this while you have stayed with me, you still have doubts in your mind about me. You think that I'm not being faithful to you? Come on, for crying out sake, we're not dating secretly. My parents know you, and your whole family knows me. You're the only person that comes to my house apart from you, no one else. So it's obvious that it's only you that they know, and even if anything like by mistake I become pregnant, you will be the one that they would ask why. But if you so wish to have your way through me regardless, come, I'm ready, she said as she went back to the bed and slept, opening up her legs widely for me. Come on, babe, stop. I don't like that. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was only trying to recollect the thickness of our relationship before you embark on this far journey to school tomorrow, I said reassuringly. Come here, I called, and she came. This time, that calm atmosphere of the room was greatly intensified. I asked her to sit on my lap. After sitting, I laughed and blushed. Don't laugh, what makes you feel that I do not love you, or were you trying to make jest of me, she complained. Don't repeat this again, she warned, and I was busy at this point laughing out loudly at her as she speaks. It's okay, babe, I won't repeat it again, I pledged. You may better, because you will push me into war if you do, she retorted, feigning seriousness. But I said that I am sorry in a particular, I said, hoping she should stop. So, you're leaving me tomorrow, I asked, and she nodded in agreement. I sighed, and tears had already clouded my face at the thought of loneliness striking me. I'm going to miss you, I lamented. I will miss you too, babe, she said. Likewise, tears were in her eyes also. We both stood and embraced ourselves warmly, and as usual, landed our lips together and observed the silent moment of kissing at about 5 seconds. We were still on it steadfastly. Afterwards, when we became faggot, I took the 100,000 as promised and gave it to her, then saw her off as she departed. The following day, as early as 6 a.m., she made her trip to school. I felt bad anywhere, but it was a great thing, therefore, I considered it and moved on. At school, we were discussing perfectly and peacefully from the first month until after the month that things began to fall apart. An interval of 2 months after Mary had gone to school. I kept trying her lines, but she would pick up her calls optionally and gave an excuse.